Did you have a narcissist that was envious of you or exemplified this enviousness idea about you or about other people? A lot of times we'll see this in narcissistic abuse and how narcissism is formed and how narcissism continues to show up on a single day-to-day basis. Now, if you don't know, when we talk about narcissism and we talk about narcissistic personality disorder and we talk about the 9 traits, one of the aspects is where a narcissist is envious, okay? Shows envious aspects of whether they're envious of other people or they believe that others are envious of them. So a lot of times it's looking being like, hey, I want what this person wants, I'm jealous of what this person has, or I think these people think that I'm the best thing ever and they're envious of me. Does that make sense? So diving in, we're going to be talking through this aspect of narcissists being envious and how they're actually showing up in your life on a day-to-day basis, what that actually looks like, but also how it's affecting you so we can help you actually move forward, to heal from it, to be able to grow out of this aspect where the toxic person is blaming you, is putting things on you, projecting you, all these different aspects and many more that we talk about in narcissistic abuse. If you guys are new here, my name is Ben Taylor. I'm a self-aware narcissist on this channel to provide awareness about narcissistic abuse. I'm the founder of Raw Motivations, the creator of the NARC app, and your guide in the 45-day Clarity Challenge you can access at claritychallenge.net. Specifically, this challenge targets breaking the trauma bond, getting rid of the rumination, eradicating the triggers, and helping deal with the intrusive thoughts. So you can actually move into a place of clarity and confidence so the narcissist no longer has any control over you, and neither do all the triggers that keep activating even if you're away from the narcissist. We've had people that are in or out of the relationships taking this challenge, and it never expires. So you can always go back, you can rewatch, all different things like that, because we try to be able to build it to be able to help you long term. No matter what it is, you can come back to it, you can refresh, you can look at it, and you can continue to use the formula that we teach in there to break free of the mindset that keeps you going back or keeps you stuck with a toxic person. Well, when we talk about this aspect of dealing with narcissists who have this envy towards you or envy towards other people, there's a huge piece where you start to get into this emotional cycle, where you start to get in this emotional manipulation of the narcissist because of this envy piece. Well, they'll be running you through this aspect over and over and over again. In this period of time, you get to the place where you start to get confused of what to actually believe and what to actually see. Because there's this emotional envy, and then sometimes you'll be like, oh, they care about me, they like me. There's this positivity towards your self-esteem and then well-being, and then it's all of a sudden switched to the other way because this person actually doesn't care, but this enviness piece is a push and pull a lot of times. Of thinking wait a second, I want what you want, I want to have what you want, and multiple different varieties of that. Sometimes you may see a narcissist that's envious of you because you have a better paying job, or because you have produced more, or because you have a business and he doesn't. We see this a lot of times where you'll start to help him, you'll start to try to grow and help however you can, but at the end of the day, he starts degrading you, so you start even suffering in your business. You start suffering in your production and what you're actually doing. This oftentimes is when a narcissist gets with you being like, hey, I want what you have, but then when they get with you, they realize that actually didn't increase my value, didn't increase my worth because I'm still the same person that's being unwilling to actually show up and produce. It's wild, but that's how a lot of times a narcissist thinks about it when we're talking about these toxic relationships where the woman is producing more than the toxic person, okay? Just FYI. Now, a lot of times we see that. So when this piece is happening of how the narcissist envy is actually affecting and how it's messing with your life, a lot of times the envy piece will have this effect not just on your self-confidence, but even on your body image, your personal appearance of how you're showing up on a day-to-day basis. Because a lot of times they'll use the envy piece to even triangulate, to be able to put you pitted against other people of whoa, she looks so much better than you. I can't believe how this person looks. And you're like, what about me? And you start to question. It'll bring in this triangulation piece that'll make it even confusing to you of what to actually believe, how to actually move forward. The impact on you ends up being monumental. A lot of times with the self-worth, emotional stability, a sense of self, and you're lost trying to understand what is actually true. Notice a pattern. A lot of times when we're talking about a narcissist, you're wondering what is actually true, what is not actually true. You're going to see this in your relationship where it's going to get even strained more and more because of resentment. The narcissist resenting you, the narcissist resenting what you have, the narcissist being jealous about you, jealous about other things. Now, side note, because a lot of times people get this confused. A lot of times they think, oh, the narcissist is jealous about me because I have these good traits. Narcissist doesn't freaking care about your good traits, okay? Let's just be really clear, because a lot of people think, like, I'm such an intrinsically good person, the narcissist came after me because they are so jealous of my intrinsic good. No. A lot of times the narcissist doesn't even care about your intrinsic good, okay? All they really care about is image and money. And if you help support that, sounds great. If you don't, then you're a waste of time and they move on to the next person, okay? Narcissist isn't looking at you being like, you have these amazing values and qualities that I want. It's typically like, oh, this person can help me, can serve me, and can get me what I actually want in that moment until it changes, okay? A lot of times you're going to see this envy piece play out in your personal life, in your profession, of like setting you back. Because narcissists will try to undermine your achievements, whether that's undermine in the same work environment of trying to take your ideas, like steal from you and end up moving themselves forward, or just undermine you in the fact that you produce more. And it's like, how do I degrade her to the point where she no longer values herself as much and I feel better, even though I'm still showing up less than in how I'm producing and how I'm actually growing and developing myself. Okay, like a lot of this piece here starts to get like manipulative and confusing because the narcissist is trying to mess with you emotionally, psychology, like psychology wise, to like say like, hey, like you're nothing, you're less than. But it's all promoted a lot of times with this aspect of the narcissist having this envy, having this aspect. So, like, I have to be able to understand, like, wait a second, you can change this aspect of having the narcissist not necessarily be envious of you, but how you respond to it, how you react to it, how you let him actually pull you down or not pull you down. So, like, I want you to think of, like, if you could actually do this, if you could actually separate this piece, what would this look like? Like, how would you be able to move into a place where you establish and you have clarity of mind of understanding, wait a second, this is actually true. Like, I'm at this place, he's at this place. Regardless of what he's saying to me, I'm not going to let it pull me down. I'm not going to let it, like, change my perspective. Typically it does, because we're attributing worth, validation from another person. So, like, what would actually be different? How would you actually show up different if that person no longer had that hold over you? If that person no longer controlled you, if that person no longer had this envy piece that is manipulating you oftentimes into being subservient to them. A lot of times we'll see this different aspect, but the narcissist is trying to control you and manipulate you because of this aspect of being envious of what you have, what you're doing, how you are in different aspects where it would make them look better if they actually acted that way. Okay? Again, it's not about your intrinsic good. So when we talk about this, we talk about like the difference of what would actually show up in your life. Like how you would actually have these changes so that when the narcissist is putting this enviness, putting this aspect, you're like, wait a second, like, nope, like you can try to put me down all you want, but that's not going to change who I actually am. A lot of this piece of understanding narcissistic abuse and stepping into your power is understanding who you are, being able to be empowered with self-assurance, with resilience that accompany this aspect of like, I know how I can manage like all these attacks, all these things that he's putting on me because it's not true. But we normally don't feel like that in the moment because oftentimes people don't know who they actually are and they spend too much time defending. Okay, so understanding one of these aspects of handling a narcissist, envy, not empathy, okay, envy, okay, is belief in your own worth, like your own accomplishments. We have so many people where they'll be at a place where they've accomplished so many things in business, okay, so many things, and they're like, I can show you a list of all these things that I've done, but you start to doubt your own worth because of that one person in that one area of life, but it permeates everything. When a person's impacting your relationships, it affects your spirituality, it affects your physical fitness, it affects your business, it affects all those different pieces, and it starts to pull you away from it. Like you have to be able to understand, like you have a belief in your own worth, there's a belief in maintaining your boundaries and not internalizing the other person's envy, not internalizing the things that are happening there, and then belief in your right to pursue success and happiness without guilt. A narcissist is going to make you feel bad for being successful. Narcissists are going to make you feel bad for progressing more than they're progressing. Narcissists are going to try to pull you back while you continue to move forward. So belief in your own worth, belief in maintaining boundaries, and belief in your right to pursue success and happiness without guilt. It also moves us into addressing mindset shifts that are required to be able to move forward. Part of this is shifting from seeking any type of validation or approval from the toxic person, from the narcissist, to actually self-validation of like, I understand who I am, I understand what I'm doing, I understand the direction I'm going. This also comes in the form of self-confidence and being resilient against external judgments. Now, you've probably had many people in your life where you're like, I'm worried about what this person's going to say about me. I'm worried about how they're going to respond. And moving to a place of saying, hey, zero F's given. Like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do because I know this is what I'm called to do. A lot of times you have to be able to pull back and see it from the true standpoint of this envy piece comes from a narcissistic insecurities, not your shortcomings. Not the things that you think you're not doing well, but because the narcissist is actually projecting something onto you, projecting a different version, a different reality onto you to make you feel bad so that they feel better. Then we need to talk about just looking at the new beliefs to be able to understand. Believing in your right to thrive and your right to succeed, trusting your own judgments and decisions, and embracing on your self-care, helping you actually move forward in prioritizing you, helping you do that. So what does that look like as we move forward? Part of it is helping you understand narcissistic abuse, like educating you on all different aspects, and then helping paint a path forward for you to be able to get free. This a lot of times is not just setting up strong boundaries. It's not just going no contact. It's not just moving you forward in a certain aspect, but it's actually developing you to be able to break free of the trauma bond. The big thing that holds you back in an addictive mindset to keep you stuck to a toxic person. This is why we've built multiple different challenges and communities to help you move forward and to eradicate the triggers so that you can become the person that you're called to be. Part of the biggest focus inside of the Clarity Challenge is focusing on your mindset shift to be able to break the trauma bond, to be able to eradicate the triggers, to work through the story that you believe, to get to the place that you no longer have these intrusive thoughts that are keeping you up at night, that are focusing you on the toxic person, but we can't change him. It's not going to get any better. We can only focus on your growth, on your healing, and on your development. If you want to access that, you can go to claritychallenge.net. We'd love to have you join and start your process in learning about you and understanding and breaking apart the toxic pieces that are stuck in your mind of the trauma bond, of the rumination, of the intermittent reinforcement, all the things that keep you tied to that person and going back time and time and time again. If you want to move forward in a faster, accelerated environment, then go to rawmotivations.com. When you sign up there, you can go through a one-on-one. We can talk. You can fill out an application to see if you'd be a good fit for our Thriver community. With this community, we're seeing people grow and maximize in all areas of life. In all 4 areas of life, saying like, hey, as I move forward, as I develop, I'm starting to become stronger in my confidence, in my relationships, in my spirituality, in my fitness, in my business, to be able to move to the place where the toxic person no longer has a hold or no longer is able to pull you down, degrade, or project those things onto you. If you want access to that, you can go to rawmotivations.com, click on the one-on-ones. Would love to help you there and love to help you move forward in your growth, in your healing, and in your change.